Or no Fires of Pompeii review? Yeah, I got myself all geared up and excited for it too, guys, only to find it was the most cheap and fillery episode I could possibly imagine. It's just not worth my time, and it has not aged well either. Even Peter Capaldi's appearance was a bit of a letdown for me. Maybe I'll talk about it another day. For now though, I want to talk about something totally monumental in the Revival series. It may seem a bit cheap to drag the OOD out of the BBC costume cupboard again, but maybe, just maybe, there was a worthwhile story crammed away in there too. So, without further ado, let's review Planet of the OOD! The episode starts with an excellently crafted advertisement of the OOD. Suddenly, these creatures that we thought were simply volunteer servants are actually commodities bought and sold through a galaxy-spanning corporation. Having this executive chappie complaining about the price of the OOD appears to show that despite abolishing the slavery of humans, the colonization of other planets is created on the backs of alien slaves. There's this idea the show promotes that in order to have intergalactic progress, we must regress morally. In spite of this, there are modern elements that make this idea of alien slaves more horrifying as they also idealize them. This wall art of the OOD in the style of Andy Warhol compares them to Marilyn Monroe, celebrated but thoroughly abused by the industry that propagates them. This might be a little stretch to suggest this, but it felt like the episode was poking holes at the meat industry too. The way that characters justify the enslavement of the OOD eerily matches arguments put forward by people who try to justify keeping animals in cages, then milking and slaughtering them for profit. They even refer to the OOD as livestock later in the episode. The most incredible aspect about this whole setup is that the institution of OOD slavery has been around for hundreds of years. The characters in this story have never had a time in their lives without them, ingraining this sense of normalcy surrounding OOD operations. Similarly, it's horrifying to imagine generations of OOD living without the ability to speak to one another. It would seem that the OOD's insistence on the circle being broken isn't merely meant to be interpreted literally. Forgetting why abolition happened millennia before will result in history repeating itself. The Doctor and Donna have a great opening scene together as both are hyped up for their first interstellar adventure together. There's a lovely contrast between the warm interior of the TARDIS to the outside snowy cold alien planet that is exploited for great humour. Donna, who was obviously expecting some kind of Ibiza holiday, gets the shock of her life, something the Doctor probably planned, only for her to run in and grab a coat whilst he's mid-monologue for a great tit-for-tat moment. It's a nice change seeing the companion take charge here and not just lap up the Doctor's dribble like an obedient dog. I found it amusing too when the Doctor was celebrating the realness of the snow and special effects, when I wouldn't be surprised at all if this was just a set they kept lying about in case they needed another Teletubbies Christmas special.
Ooh. Snow! Snow!
The real rocket didn't have me fooled either, but thankfully this is the only time they gush about the
Realness
of the special effects. From here, we're introduced to the three main humans tasked with keeping the OOD murder on the hush-hush. Mr. Halpin, aka the managing director of OOD operations, aka twatty CEO archetype, is played by Tim McInerney. This was a great choice in my opinion because to my recollection, the only notable role he had before this was as Percy in Blackadder, the complete opposite of the roles he's taken up in the 21st century. I also loved this head of marketing character who proved to be such a sucker for authority that would lead to her doom. She spearheads this great sequence where the prospective buyers get invited to an executive suite, juxtaposed with the dramatic music and the security team chasing down a rabid OOD.
What is an OOD but a reflection of us?
The show seems to be indicating insanity felt on behalf of the humans here, who have gotten used to blocking out their morality with alcohol and, hair tonic. Seeing things like OOD whippings was a really saddening moment for the audience and crushes any premature doubts about the OOD's categorical enslavement. Then we got a really awesome moment where we got to see the sheer scale of OOD operations. Seeing crates full of OOD, passive and docile, and united they chant, "The circle must be broken." The message of freedom spread through their telepathy. It's a really creepy moment, and the brief argument between Donna and the Doctor about human culture being built on slavery was terrific too. Honestly, I can't get enough of the pair's interactions, constantly calling each other out on their bullshit and having a great laugh now and again too. This led to a thrilling sequence with the Doctor being chased by a giant crane operated by the head of security. The excitement he gets out of hunting the Doctor is akin to a child playing with a claw machine at an arcade, and the special effects looked fantastic too. The marketing director stops the machine to prevent a PR disaster of some kind, which really took my breath away, seeing the Doctor pinned to the ground, inches away from being crushed or grabbed. As though things weren't intense enough already, the cooldown from that encounter is just beautiful. Throughout the episode, there's this shivering sound effect laced throughout certain scenes, and here it gets its payoff. What would at first appear to be a non-diegetic sound, i.e. not from a visible source on screen, then becomes diegetic when the Doctor allows Donna to hear what he's hearing, the Song of Captivity. The singing is so tumultuous and sad. There's no bright and glorious melody to accompany it. Instead, we have to witness Donna's crying face to create a spine-chilling moment. The last nail in the coffin that humans have essentially lobotomized the OOD makes Donna want to go home, and this moment was brilliant because of David's expressions. Not only is the Doctor having to reconfigure his perception of the OOD entirely, but also realizing that he may have traumatized Donna for bringing her here. She witnessed Pompeii burning last week, and now she's seeing how monstrous her ascendance will turn out to be millennia from her time zone. However, this moment is enough for him to lock the pair in with the OOD, sealing the deal that they're going to become friends of the OOD both literally and politically. I loved that things got out of control so quickly after that. There seemed to be some inevitability to the OOD reclaiming their freedom anyway, but the show compared the OOD operations to the Nazis by having them gassed, which only backfired as soon as the OOD started to rise up. Dr. Donna Friend was obviously a great bit too, considering how pivotal the concept will be for the stories to come, but we arrive at the precipice of the episode when the Doctor and Donna see the gigantic OOD brain. It was brilliant seeing how they kept it hidden from view until this point. It's a great reveal when certain elements, like the circle must be broken and the OOD's brains being in their hands, had been building up to this moment. It's such a peculiar sight too, just a shame it's ruined by the contorted fans in the background. Of course, this is probably down to the HD stretching of a show that's over 10 years old, but it definitely threw me a little, especially as the first shots came from below the Doctor and Donna, and then the following shot is positioned right above their heads. The flip side is that this does add to the jarring feeling that comes with this reveal, that humanity kept a gigantic brain underground, and the fact it breathes as well. It's just so weird. Series 4 is full of weird stuff, not to mention seeing the scientist getting thrown into the brain. What a way to go. Then to top it all off, we get the final twist that the OOD had been turning Mr. Halpin into an OOD, which was so shocking and disgusting, but thoroughly satisfying to watch as well.
It's weird being with you. I can't tell what's right and what's wrong anymore.
It's better that way.
And that is just the way I like my Who. Then the OOD are set free and the music turns into something so beautifully harmonic that plays throughout the remainder of the episode. To see them rejoicing in these circular formations was heartwarming to say the least, but god damn it, OOD Sigma, I don't want to hear about the Doctor's song ending. Sing all you like, but don't remind me that the end of time is coming. So, did it suck? This is another prime example of a quality Doctor Who episode. It rounds off the OOD storylines so that their inclusion in the grand scheme has a beginning, middle, and end. This story is like watching a rugby tackle in slow motion, in that slavery is entirely deconstructed to the last. We certainly aren't in short supply of anti-slavery stories in Western culture, but within the context of Doctor Who, the story worked incredibly well. Morality itself is called into question as to how we colonize the stars, with the inclusion of some awesome characters that are all performed excellently. The Doctor and Donna's partnership flourished in this story, which had some fascinating twists and turns. The music in this episode is beautiful and the special effects are great at times, but the fact they insist on the realness of it all has them shooting themselves in the foot in relation to how well this episode will age after 2008. I give Planet of the OOD a 9 out of 10. Thanks for watching. We did it, guys! 100 patrons. Work has now begun on that mega review, which will be exclusively available to patrons in the coming weeks, so now's a better time than any to sign up. What did you think of this episode? Comment below or join us for a Benny on the Discord server, where we'll continue this discussion.